Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's your boy Ben from JBM Sports Media coming at you guys with the NBA video. Yes, we're going to be talking hoops in this video. I mean, it's amazing to talk hoops around the trade deadline, and there's a lot to get into right here. Will some teams be breaking it apart? Who's going to be looking to add? Let's go over some of the rumor mill reports that I've seen this morning that obviously we have to get into, especially with certain games that happened last night and the night before. Let's get into this by Sam Amick at the Athletic NBA. Starting off with the first report that the Knicks haven't talked to any teams about trading Karl-Anthony Towns, and they plan to keep him. So, on contrary reports that said the Grizzlies, the Mavericks, and the Knicks were discussing something preliminary about Karl-Anthony Towns, looks like that is not true at all, and the Knicks plan to keep Cat. So, I mean, I guess that's good for them, and their stability. Obviously, Cat's been very inconsistent, but if you plan to move him and add another piece, I feel like that kind of messes up the team chemistry. And obviously, they're trying to make a championship push. I do still believe they can make a championship push with the roster that they have constructed right now. But I understand why also, if they did try to shop Cat, I think that would have to be an offseason thing, especially looking at his contract. It's not nothing you could do in the regular season. I mean, you really could. But I don't think they would push a desperation move like that currently. I know they're kind of free falling a little bit, but it's nothing they have to do it before February 5th. Nothing at all. Let's move on to the second report. Miles Bridges is drawing significant interest from teams including the Bucks, my Bucks, the Warriors, the Suns, the Hornets want at least a first-round pick. Before we get into talking about Miles Bridges potentially getting traded, fun fact for you guys, he just became the third all-time leading scorer for the Charlotte Hornets in history. That is absolutely mind-boggling. I think it's Kemba Walker, Del Curry, and then Miles Bridges. Like I said, that's absolutely mind-boggling. I still couldn't believe it when I looked at that stat the other day on X. But now talking about Miles Bridges, I do believe this is the trade deadline where he will get moved. I could see it happening before February 5th, not even just the day of. I mean, if I'm the Hornets and you could get a first-round pick for Miles Bridges, absolutely do it. I think it does make sense for a team like the Suns. I wouldn't really want the Bucks to trade a first-round pick for Miles Bridges. I don't think it's something that we necessarily need in a guy like Miles Bridges right now. I wouldn't be mad with the addition. I'm just saying I wouldn't trade a first-round pick, especially our 2031 first-round pick. I wouldn't do that. The Suns, though, I actually think that's a very intriguing team when it comes to Miles Bridges' potential landing spot. So keep an eye for the Phoenix Suns. The Warriors, yeah, that's possible, but we're going to talk about the Warriors in a little bit because it looks like the Warriors are going to be, reigniting some trade suitors with the Miami Heat right now, and we'll get into that report in a little bit. This is per Sam Amick. We have some more reports in a little bit by Mark Stein and then Evan Sidery. Shout out Evan Sidery. He reports on great stuff from the NBA. So a lot of shout out to these guys with these amazing reports. Next one, we have approximately 10 teams are interested in Keon Ellis, guard from the Sacramento Kings. Keon Ellis' trade market, I feel like, is going to be popping towards February 5th. I expect him to get moved. I do expect him to get moved, but I wouldn't be like shocked if the Kings kept him, if that makes sense, because he is a young piece. I think the Kings should be expected to move all the veteran pieces more so. And how about this one? Talking about the Kings, the Raptors are a legitimate possibility for center Domantas Sabonis. I think that would be an excellent move for Toronto right there. I think obviously having Jakob Poeltl maybe switch to a bench role, or would they potentially move him as well? I mean, Sabonis obviously would have to be the center there, no? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I just think that would just be a little bit confusing if you trade for Sabonis. I mean, you could match him up, but then where does that leave Barnes? You know what? That'd be such an interesting factor with Jakob Poeltl there right now at center. Raptors fans, let me know, how would that interest you? Potential Domantas Sabonis landing spot for him, and what would the Raptors have to give up as well? I'm assuming first round pick capital, maybe one of their young players. I mean, yeah, absolutely. And last report right here before we get into the significant reports one by one, the Warriors have shown no interest in DeMar DeRozan, popular to contrary belief. Look, I don't think it made sense for the Warriors to target DeMar DeRozan with this playing spot style. Very slow speed. He still relies on that mid-range game. I do think it's a good scoring option, but I think it just slows the pace down of that team, and I don't think that's something they need right now at the current moment. They do remain interested in Trey Murphy III if the Pelicans soften the stance on moving him. I think that would be the Warriors piece that they need to target, Trey Murphy III. I'm actually very big on him. So yeah, I think the Warriors should target Trey Murphy the third if the Pelicans soften the stance on moving him. But let's keep it going, guys, because like I said, there's been a lot that happened in the NBA. The Warriors, since the Jimmy Butler injury, since he tore his ACL, they're currently on a 2-game losing streak. They got blown out by the Raptors literally the next day on Tuesday. And yesterday, they lost to a Mavericks team that had no AD, no PJ Washington. I mean, look, guys, if I could be honest, it's do or die for the Warriors right now. Just like it's do or die for my Bucks. I feel like the Bucks and the Warriors are kind of in a similar situation. I will be honest, obviously, the Bucks are not in the greatest situation compared to the Warriors, if that makes sense, because I don't think the Warriors would trade Curry. But the Bucks, look, I'll pull up the report right here and we'll get into it, guys. But right here, Giannis, after the tough loss against OKC, we lost by 20. We got pieced by 20 by the Bucks, and then I think against the T-Wolves, what was it, last week? We got pieced by like 30-ish. And Giannis, after the Bucks lost to OKC, shout out Clutch Points for this. We are not playing hard. We are not playing to win. We are not playing together. Our chemistry is not there. Guys are being selfish. Guys trying to do it on their own. What does this mean, guys? What does this mean right here? Obviously, Giannis wasn't that happy with the amount of shots he had in that game as well, and I don't blame him. For him being your best player, the shots that he had in that game was unacceptable. I felt like some guys on the team, believe it or not, are being a little bit selfish. I got to keep it $150. A move is coming very imminently for the Bucks, and I'll show you guys this. Shout out. Oops, sorry about that. Wrong one. There you go. Sorry about that. Let me just move it right here, actually, to get it a little bit closer. But per Brian Windhorst on ESPN, but tweeted out by Evan Sidery. Or what? Do people still say tweet or post on X now? I still say tweet. I guess it's just the custom to always doing that. I'm very accustomed to doing that more so. Teams interested in Giannis Antetokounmpo are closely monitoring the Bucks situation over the next 2 weeks, per Brian Windhorst of ESPN. If Milwaukee continues to lose and doesn't make any significant deals, rival teams will come calling before the trade deadline to make offers on Giannis. I am not surprised on that whatsoever, if I could be quite honest. Not surprised on that whatsoever. I do believe, though, the Bucks will be active at the trade deadline, not trying to trade Giannis, but more so making a deal. But I will say this to John Horst, the GM of the Milwaukee Bucks. If you guys are not going to do something where you guys are going to put the team in a situation to win and add another piece, please, one thing, when it comes to Doc Rivers as well, he got to go, man. He got to go. I think his time has come to an end. Obviously, we're embarking. I saw a tweet the other day. We're embarking on the 2-year anniversary of Adrian Griffin getting fired. Look, Doc Rivers, I never try to say somebody should lose their job, but man, for what he's doing right now, I saw there was a point in that OKC game where Giannis walked right past him, bro. Walked right past his ass. It's getting frustrating as a Bucks fan like myself to see what's going down. Because, bro, I feel like Giannis is over it. Giannis is over it, and he's not going to request a trade. He already said that, but he knows that the Bucks have to make a move. And I think he's kind of putting pressure to the Bucks front office to make that move. Not only to trade for a piece, but potentially find yourself a new head coach, bro. Because it's not looking good right now for Giannis. Staying with the Bucks, even maybe he stays past the trade deadline, but in the offseason, once the Bucks offer that extension and he don't accept it, I could see his time for the Bucks being over. I think it's only a matter of time before a resolution comes into place. But talking about the Bucks more so, the Bucks are circling back on Zach LaVine as trade talks with the Grizzlies involving Ja Morant have not picked up steam. By the way, there was a report that came out earlier this week saying that Ja Morant actually wants to stay with the Memphis Grizzlies. He kind of doesn't want to be traded, and I understand where he's coming from, but I feel like that trade is going to be inevitable. I think it's going to happen. If the Grizzlies find the right suitor for a guy like Ja Morant, I think they're due for a fresh, clean slate. And for Ja Morant, I think he needs it as well. A new change of scenery, a new start. But I understand why there's not a lot of steam in those trade talks. I mean, look at what the Atlanta Hawks got for Trae Young. Just look at that. And people were saying that Ja Morant's trade value is actually a little bit lower than that. So just put that into perspective. That shows you what the trade market's looking like for Ja Morant. Zach LaVine, however, like we said about the Sacramento Kings a little bit earlier in this video, I think all the veteran pieces, they should be looking to trade. I'm talking about Sabonis, yes. I'm talking about Zach LaVine. But I will say about Sabonis real quick to circle back, just real quick. Only if it makes sense. It has to make sense. A trade that benefits the Sacramento Kings. Zach LaVine, yes. DeMar DeRozan as well. I don't know if Westbrook picks up some steam, but if he does, ship him too. He's having a pretty good year. And all the young pieces, try to keep that around, honestly. The Kings are attempting to move Levine's $47.4 million salary during this trade season. Absolutely understandable for the Kings, by the way. Milwaukee's package includes Kyle Kuzma. Get him out of here. Get him out of here now. Bobby Portis. Honestly, get Big Bob out of here too. Plus minimum salary. I think for the Bucks, if they make a move like this, I'll understand not wanting to give Ryan Rollins in the first round pick, for example, up for the Memphis Grizzlies for a guy like John Morant. So if they have to pivot to a Zach LaVine move, a scorer like Zach LaVine, I'd be perfectly fine with that. I mean, it's something bare minimum to get more scoring on this team. God knows we need it. Obviously, defensively, Zach LaVine is not all of that. I think he lacks defensively very much big time. But it does make sense for the Bucks to try to get another offensive weapon with Giannis. It really does. I mean, if they don't, what message is that going to show to Giannis? Look, you're not trying to improve the team. If anything, the team staying the same is the team just being worse as it is. It's worse as it is because the Bucks aren't even a play-in team right now, guys. They're 11th in the East. That is putrid compared to Giannis, where Giannis Antetokounmpo team is supposed to be. I'm convinced that it's make or break for the Bucks. Kind of like it's make or break for the Warriors. And let's shift to that, talking about it right now. The Golden State Warriors are targeting, per Mark Stein, but posted by Evan Sidery on X, the Warriors are targeting a reunion with Andrew Wiggins via trading Jonathan Kuminga. This is actually super interesting right here because obviously Andrew Wiggins was traded to the Miami Heat for Jimmy Butler in that trade last year. So now the Warriors are trying to circle back and get Andrew Wiggins back to the Warriors for Jonathan Kuminga. Miami has been adamant that they want a first-round pick in any potential Wiggins deal. Golden State could match that, including Kuminga, Buddy Hield, and a first-round pick. I'll be honest, for the Warriors, it'll be such a desperation play, but I understand that they need this desperation play super bad. And if that is circling back and getting Andrew Wiggins back on the Dubs, I would get that. I would get that, especially because Jonathan Kuminga in yesterday's game, he had an ankle injury, guys. He went out with the ankle injury. Initial tests show that it's nothing significant. He should be back. I don't know if it's going to be fairly quickly. They might honestly just sit him out till the trade deadline, not to risk it. But in the minutes that he was getting, he looked pretty sharp. He looked pretty decent until he did get hurt yesterday in that Mavericks game. Maybe if he, you know what? Now thinking about it, maybe if he doesn't get hurt, they probably win that game. Curry dropped 38, and everybody else was playing like bums. I mean, not even going to get started with talking about Draymond Green because I watched that game, chat, and it showed. I keep calling y'all chat, but to me, it's like the chat because when I do my TikTok lives and stuff like that, not trying to, just go off topic, but I think calling y'all chat is actually pretty cool. But I'll say this, watching that game yesterday and seeing some of the shot selections by guys like Pajemski, Draymond Green can't even hit a wide open layup. I mean, bro, these guys were out there looking cooked. And look at the box score just to get the grasp of how this team is playing. Curry dropped 38, and they lost to a weekend Mavericks team. So getting a guy like Wiggins back, I could see happening for the Dubs. I really could see because it's a desperation move, yes, but it's a desperation move they need. If not, there needs to be a conversation had. And I'll throw it out to you Warriors fans, if we have any Warriors fans watching this video right here. How upset would you be if there's a conversation between Mike Dunleavy, the GM of the Warriors, Stephen Curry, Draymond Green as well, those two veterans, asking them just their brutal opinion? Do you think even if we add a piece like Andrew Wiggins, or even if we add a piece like maybe Trey Murphy III, because a report that came out was that they're not going to trade Jimmy Butler's contract. It's not going to happen. He's going to be with that team. How open would you be? And honestly, if Steph Curry and Draymond Green both say, look, we still want to win in our careers, and we don't know if we could do that here no more. I don't know if Steph is that type of person. I saw his post-game interview yesterday, and it just looked like, obviously, he's kind of hesitant, very, very hesitant to use his words and just say, look, we need help. Or two, and I don't think this is the type of person Steph is, but who knows? Really, who knows? I might want to go compete somewhere else that has a better chance. I know he always has love for the Warriors and always will. That's the team that gave him his chance, won 4 championships with them. But how realistic, and we talked about it in our last video, talking NBA with JV, how realistic is a potential Warriors and Curry trade? Like, I don't think it's that realistic, but I also do believe that Curry still wants to win in his career. I just don't know if that's in Golden State anymore in this latter half. Like, he's about to be, 38, I believe? I don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen, man. It's going to be super interesting. I think the Milwaukee Bucks and the Golden State Warriors are the two teams you have to look at very, very closely headed into this trade deadline. I'll take this off real quick so we could just, spit it down real quick. The NBA trade deadline, like I said, it's roughly 2 weeks away. I'm just super, super confused where my Bucks are heading. I'll be honest. If we don't add, we are showing Giannis that we're not trying to improve the team. We're actually trying to go a different direction. We know if we stand pat right here at the trade deadline, I think we might be trading you in the offseason if you don't sign that extension. And that'll be heartbreaking as a Bucks fan. But I'll understand if we do ship Giannis in the offseason. And for the Warriors, what desperation move are they now going to make after losing 2 in a row and looking lost out there without a guy like Jimmy Butler? I'll leave that to you guys in the comment section. Tell me what you think your guys' team is going to do when it comes to the NBA trade deadline. Leave it in the comment section. As always, make sure to subscribe here on YouTube, JBM Sports Media. Go follow us on TikTok and IG at JBM Sports Media. Until then, we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.